There are ways how people look at themselves and at the world and in their intellect. What is the reason and what is the accomplishment of him being in this world? Let's use the example. When a person uses the hand to give tzedakah, he uses his hand to put on tefillin. What was accomplished to the hand? What was accomplished to the hand? Is the hand a hand? It's just that it stretched itself to do a mitzvah. Let's say it in different words. To reveal godliness in the hand, to reveal godliness in the world, to bring a connection from the world to Hashem, to bring a connection from his hand. Let's only talk about the hand for a minute. Is the hand a regular hand? It's just that it did a mitzvah. Or goodbye hand, there's no hand, it's only a mitzvah. The hand is a hand which is a mitzvah. There's two ways of looking at it. To illustrate this a little more, how about using the brain? The first in Sefer HaMitzvahs, the Rambam, it's the first mitzvah, Anochi Hashem Elokecha. And the Rambam touches up Leida Sheyesh Elokai Motzi, to know about Hashem. Before we go into details, that's why I need to learn about it. Before knowing, the fact of knowing that there is Hashem, does it only mean I have a brain, I might be a scientist, I might be a historian, I might be just a practical person, I might be is my brain a brain that understands physical things in this world? It also understands a message from Hashem somehow, to a certain extent. Or do I get to the level, do I get to the level to also understand Hashem, or also understand deeper dimensions of Torah, called Pnimis HaTorah, whatever expressions would be used? But my brain, if it's still a normal brain, it means it's still a created brain. It's like putting a patch, putting a band-aid, not healing the source. So it's great, but it's to a certain extent. Or just if you say the hand is a hand that is only a hand of mitzvahs, when it puts on tefillin, it's a tefillin hand. It's a tzedakah hand. Then the brain could not understand. Not only, he also understands an additional thing. It doesn't relate to the havamina of thinking different than there's There's no thought that it could even be a thought of a world existing not being only Hashem. What, in different words, it's obvious that it's expected that a person should be able to not only use his hand. Let's compare it to shlichus. When a person sends a messenger, is the messenger a man by himself? Or is the messenger the person, while the messenger gives over the message, is now the person who sent him? What is the difference? How devoted he is. So in a way, we would say, what's wrong with me being myself, being the same self-centered person, the same big ego, just I'll claim that I also own the Empire State Building. I also reached high. What's wrong with that? I'm not even talking about wrong. It gives an opportunity to think that there is something besides Hashem. The question is not what is wrong with it. The question is, how do we transform? Or what gives us even the thought that it's possible to transform? Before I go further, I want to say, B'chlal, they were looking at the world and seeing the world as world. When a little baby is born, he gets that feeling, I'm alive, means I could relate to what I see, I could relate to what I feel. To feel the neshama, that doesn't come when the baby is born. That starts when the person is bar mitzvah. To a certain extent, I would say we all get bar mitzvah, and we're all born every day new. Moed ani lefanecha shechzarta bi nishmasi, I'm a new person. When a person davens with kavanah, and he's mizbayim barichas, and he gets l'chalap, I would start with l'chalapachas with the Mechaber says in Shulchan Aruch, that if a person who, a person who will, maybe we should come, when a person has in mind and thinks appropriately how we have to think before Shachris, he will be a different person. And he can get Korav L'Mailas HaNavuah, mit alle Mailas Mechaber in Shulchan Aruch. It's a halacha that says in Shulchan Aruch for every Jew. That every Jew, if he can rightfully think in what we have to think about before Shachris, then we become a different type of person. Then the physicality could depart from us. Who can reach to these concepts? How we reach to these concepts has to do with learning and thinking and davening, having in mind Pashat Taich, Pashat seeing so many examples. I remember as a boy, as a teenager, when I started trying to have kavanah and davening, at one point I thought to myself, why is it not boring? Over and over, Hashem, 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 again and again and again, and what else? So there is no question that even if we only think of that simple translation, and we don't see how every word means a completely different level, even if it's just the simple the simplest level, if you would think each word is another block of real estate, you wouldn't be bored. I do have to tell you, somebody told me this week, I'm bored of making money. I'm bored of my job. So obviously, what is the only reason that he's bored? Because he doesn't see that every move is from Hashem as a goal. How could his life be a goal? If he sees that everything in the world is Hashem, that means if he does what the Rambam starts, Yesoida, Zamoda Chochma, Leida Sheyesh L'Kai Motzi, that there is such a thing, that the only thing that exists is Hashem. However, I want to get into, and that's why I need the Lashem Rambam about Hashem being in this world. There is a few ways of learning the exact levels of what the Rambam refers to. To try to make this concept simple, Matzu means existing. You cannot say that Hashem exists. Matzu Rishon? Oh, limited. Oh, he's first. And Chas v'Shalom? Second. That's impossible to say about Hashem. So the only way how a person could touch up these words, knowing that there is a way how Hashem created this world because he wanted to have, let's call it, he wanted to create a world that Hashem is not openly visible. It's not fully revealed. And by having, and the job is to find in everything how it makes sense that the only reason for that is, for this way of this world, is to find Hashem in this situation. To find Hashem in the other situation. To find the puzzle, not only when it's fully finished, but to find in every detail of the puzzle in itself a goal. And when it's finished, you'll be happier. However, all that is only going to explain that the world is a world, and when I do a mitzvah, I just do a mitzvah in this world, and there is a goal in it. But he still sees himself as having a hand. He still sees himself, let's call it, as a philosopher, as a thinker, and as a person with a brain. One of the pshatim in the next halacha in Rambam, Rambam says the next halacha, Im Yal al Adas,
יאללה, לדעת שהוא אינו מוצא.
That's what I'm looking for. Im Yala Lada She'ena Motzei. So, if a person would reach a higher level of das, Im Ya'ala al Hadas, he will go above that level of das, and he will reach the higher level Shehu Einoi Motzei. And he will reach a level to see that Hashem is not a created level, That means not shaykh to look at it in such a way. Ein davar acher yochel ematzis. Then nothing could be a metzius.
What's that?
If a person reaches the level of a higher level of das, that he reaches, that he recognizes, I would like to explain something about it, then he reaches the level that there is no metzius. If you know that Hashem is not a metzius, you know there is nothing else a metzius. If nothing could be that. In different words, in Kabbalah, and it's quoted a lot in Chassidus, there is a famous expression that you may have heard a lot. It's based on the Zohar in Pasuk Eliyahu, Malu kol Alman and Soiv kol Alman. Malu kol Alman means how Hashem created a world and how everything in this how everything in this world has a organized schedule, and that we would compare to what we would call nature. Everything of nature, Hashem creates, and creates it every second. Nobody wakes up in his bed because he went to sleep in the bed. Nobody sits on the chair because he sat down on the chair. Because every second you are a new person. Hashem creates the world every second. So nothing is there because it was there before. Why do we look at it like it is there because it was put there before? Because it happens every second the same way. And that is the expression of Mamala Kalalman, that it looks like it's called a tzimtzum, that Hashem made something look like it's the same routine, but it's really not. Did you ever see these poles that have been knocking themselves into the ground?
Construction?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Picks up, goes down, picks up, goes down. Now, a person might think, oh, it just slowly, by nature, sinks into the ground. But if you would see that it's always, something is happening the whole time, a person just see the godly spark on everything that comes from Hashem, in order it should end whichever way of tzimtzum it is, that it should be in that format, then you would see how everything in nature is godly. However, since it looks always the same, people don't recognize it. Did you ever see twins that you can't recognize?
Yes.
I have a twin. My son had a twin last year, which in the beginning they looked so different. Last month of Shabbos they came, nobody recognized. That means somehow they made a little, like a chitashani, a way to that they should recognize. But sometimes it's impossible to see the similarity of the world one second to the next. If you know twins, you know that's not a kasha too. Why don't I see it? It's a kasha on me. Oh, the answer is because Hashem makes it similar. If I know that if I'm sitting now, it's not because I sat down a minute before, it's because Hashem created me now this way, in the same way as it was a second before, then if I can relate to that, I can relate to this level of godliness. In different words, if you have in mind just the Pasha Taitchin Psukkah de Zimra every day, maybe you're going to get between the hundreds of examples that has been repeated, you're going to find yourself when you're walking, when you're standing, and how you're sitting, and how everything is by Hashem. How about if you miss one part of Kavanah? That part you might not see yourself. That bar mitzvah, that means the revealing of the neshama in the person, finally by Shemona Esrei and revealing in practical life after Shemona Esrei, has to do with how you go up. How go up means how much you recognize in yourself the truth of the creation. How about the level that we can recognize? Now, all that would tell us still that we are kind of human. Hashem created us in that way, but we're connecting back to Hashem through mitzvahs. How? When we get to the next level, let's compare that to a miracle. What is a miracle? That Hashem sometimes shows us. Let's go back to one detail of nature. Part of nature is that water, if it goes this way, it goes down. Fire pulls up. Why? Because this is how Hashem created it. This is the natural way how Hashem created it. How about if water will fly up, or like the nace of Kriyas Yamsuf, the water decided to become a wall? Not decided. Hashem decided it should change its nature. Instead of going down, it should go up. Over there you saw, wow, Hashem does everything. Because it doesn't work. It does not go by what is nature. So now I see that, wow, here I see a higher revealing of Hashem. Yalal Adas, She'eino Matzah. You see the concept of not being. Not being means what we take for granted and we think that it has a reason is not a reason. Oh, because now Hashem showed me that He does things different. I like to use the example that people like to relate more. There are certain people that are everybody has different natures. And just like I would say, fire and water, there are people, everybody has physically, the physical view of a person in this world is based on 4 elements. 2 of them is also water and fire. The water people are more kind people, more chesed, and the fire people are more strict, in a way more active too. Because the only way you can really be active and organize things, if you know, I'm not going to let it different than this. It has to be in a certain way. So there are different natures. Now you could see some kind people who are sometimes strict. Avraham Avinu was very strict of saying a bracha. And you can find, but in general, he has one mahalach, and sometimes he can do different. That's a Mesiras Nefesh. That's when the person goes out of. There are certain people who are very, very sensitive. Usually, the sensitive children will be the biggest troublemakers. Because why is he making trouble? Because he's sensitive. How about if everything works their way, they can be the best students, and just he never had a test in life. He never had a test in life that something should bother him. So he doesn't even have a test of being bad. Let the one day that something should happen different than he wants, all of a sudden he's going to become the worst student. We see sometimes the quietest boys can get not understood a certain day. Imagine a person who always first online on something, and one time somebody else went first. He can be in the worst situation, although he's always the goody-goody. Anyhow, any change of what we see as normal is just from Hashem to show us. Now here comes the point we're going to bring out with this is normally we would think that according to that we understand that most of us, when we look at the world, we only see world. So basically we would think we are into one level, and the people who are on the higher level are the people who are tzaddikim. According to that, we would think that only a tzaddik could
reach
that level, and we would think that by us we are stuck in our level. However, when a person gives up something for Hashem, the Gemara says about a lot of things, how miracles happen to everyone every day. And when a person has a Mesiras Nefesh on anything, he gives up something for Hashem, he changed the world. So obviously, everybody could get to it. The Baal Shem Tov revealed a lot of things that before that, although there were a lot of people, it started from, in the Zohar we see already a lot of deep things of Torah, we see from the Arizal, we see from a lot of Mukabbalim. The way the Baal Shem Tov revealed it, that even if a person doesn't know all the details and doesn't have all the lamdas, but the simple devotion is what really does it. With the knowing this is how it is, knowing it's impossible different. And not because I got an additional knowledge. On the other hand, yes, the Torah says to learn depth of Torah, but it's not only getting it as an additional, but cleaning the system and realizing that means thinking a long time and taking it in and elevating to it. Let's call it becoming bar mitzvah every day. And it's not a one-time happening.
every second. Every second.
We're talking that the tzushtel to becoming bar mitzvah every day is davening. The Mittler Rebbe, which is the second Lubavitcher Rebbe that Tes Kislev is when he was born and when he passed away, was so deep into the learning and to Pnimis HaTorah and B'chlal. Anything he would learn and he would be into it so much, and you were able to, and his Hanaga was so openly of not in this world, where his father, the Alter Rebbe, once when he was a younger man and he had a baby, fell out of the crib and cried, and he was learning, and they lived in the same house. His father, the Alter Rebbe, heard the crying, came, picked up the baby, and then confronted him that he that it's very important, but when a Yid veint, when the Jew cries, you still have to hear it. That means the feeling, the depth of a Jew is even deeper than what you thinking will accomplish. As much as meditating is important, but feeling every Jew is much deeper than that. The word is, so from everyone, we got to learn always the combining of everything. And as we see, it's interesting that Tes Kislev is when he was born, and Tes Kislev was when he passed away too. And what's Yud Kislev? The day, a year before, 1 year before he passed away, he was arrested for sending tzedakah to Eretz Yisrael. A year before. And the day after that is the day he was redeemed, that he was left, that was proven to the Russian government that he didn't send the money as a revolution. Part of the revolution was because why they thought sending money to Eretz Yisrael at that time. Eretz Yisrael was under Turkey. What?
Turkey.
And that time Turkey didn't get along with Russia, so it sounded like. So anyhow, when so we see how, let's compare it also how leaving this world is going out of the boundaries that a person thinks he's stuck into the world. There is a boy who unfortunately is still in public school, asked me today, can I come for Shabbos? I said, yes, but what you really want? I really look at myself like I'm a kind person, and from my type of life, I don't see how I can be a good person. I would like to come for Shabbos, and then maybe next week I want to go to yeshiva. And I asked him, tell me what you want to accomplish this Shabbos. I do not know yet Aleph Beis. I hope that by opening the Siddur on Shabbos, it's going to shine to me and I'll know it. What made him know that what made him think that he can accomplish that on Shabbos? Because he has a friend who goes to the same public school that last week, Monday, he came over to me with the same thing. I would like to be able to read in the Siddur. I know it takes very long. What can I do? And it took him 7 minutes from knowing from our base till being able to open the Siddur and read. Well, that broke the history. 15 minutes, a half an hour is often. But 7 minutes, that broke the record. And he told him how he knows. So he says, a major change can happen fast. I just have to know that I'm not bounded by the situation. Then I can do it. When we accept that we are not bounded by the situation, I'm sure the Sheikh will be here now.
Amen.
Amen.